Hello everyone and my dear subscribers. This is a Deathblade guide. I will first cover how Deathblade and her identity works in general, and then I will go over to how to set up her skill sets depending on the class Engraving. Before we begin, this is a very position dependent class. Most of her main DPS skills as well as her identity, the Surge skill, has back attack perks. So it may not be the class for you if you don't want the stress of having to always position yourself at the back of the enemy. However, it is one of the classes with most rewarding DPS, so if you want to show off your skills, this is the class to pick. With that out of the way, let's start by explaining what the art, her identity is. So basically, when some of the arts are gathered, you can either activate the arts to get these attack power, skill cooldown, movement speed buff, or just use the surge skill for one big damage. So basically, when some of the arts are gathered, you can either activate the arts and get these attack power, skill cooldown, movement speed buff, or just use the surge skill for one big damage. So it would be important to gather these arts as fast as possible, right? With that in mind, this is why Maelstrom is very important. This is going to help you gather more arts, and it's also a very important party synergy skill. This skill buffs you and your party members with movement speed increase buff and the attack speed buff. For the tripods of the skill, it's pretty obvious: the orb control and the dark order. Also, she has a skill called the spin cutter, which has this open weakness tripod, which is a party damage buff skill. The tripods on this skill is completely up to your playstyle and skill points. You can just use the first tripod for party synergy, use up to second tripod for reduced cooldown of 4 seconds, and if you have it up to here, the skill animation will look like this. However, if you max the tripod and you put the triple spin tripod, you will spin 3 times, allowing you to position yourself at the back of the enemy while performing this skill. These two are the common skill she will take whether you are remaining energy build or the surge build. Another skill which you have to use is Earth Cleaver, which is your counter and destruction skill. What is counter and destruction? Click on the guides tab on the bottom right, go to the training room, and it should teach you what, when, and how to use them. Now, another cool skill they have is called the Dark Axle. At max tripod, it's going to let you jump over bosses. Not every single blade, but almost every blade will use this skill because you have to position yourself at the back of the enemy, and this skill just makes it a lot easier to do that. So those were the utility skills. Now let's talk about her main DPS skill. Whether you are remaining energy blade or surge blade, you have to use Blitz Rush with tripods like this, and Soul Absorber with tripods like this. And the animations of these two skills look like this. The Soul Absorber also has destruction. They call it weak point here, so keep that in mind. Now, another common skill people will take is the Void Strike, not for its mid-average damage, but for its ability to gather the art. The tripods of this skill will differ depending on the build, but for now, I'll use the tripod frequently used for the remaining energy build. So here I have the 7 skills, and what you will put here will differ depending on your class Engraving. If you are a remaining energy blade, you put another DPS skill called the Moonlight Sonic. Super strong skill. This is one of the skills you can use for questing, chaos dungeons and stuff also. Now this is what it would look like for a remaining energy build, and look what they have in common. Most of them have charging skills. So supercharged engraving will be really good to use, right? So here is how remaining energy engraving works. Remember the identity buffs I talked about? The buffs will be gone as soon as you use the surge skill, right? Well, just like how engraving is titled, the buff will remain even after you use the surge skill for 30 seconds. So the idea is to gather 3 arts using the surge skill, and within 30 seconds, gather the arts again to maintain the remaining energy buff for as long as you can. So her skill cycle will look something like this. Use the Awakening skill when encountered, Maelstrom, Soul Absorber, Void Strike, Blitz Rush, and Moonlight Sonic will get you right at 3 arts. Then you scratch the enemy with Spin Cutter for you and your party's buff. Use the surge skill to activate remaining energy. Then you start spamming the enemy again. Now you see how your arts are kind of not gathering as fast as you would want them, right? Now you can fix this by allocating most of your stats on specialization. This is the stats that I used right now. Specialization at 490. Now what would be ideal? Would look more like this. Let's see how this works out. With my original stats at 490, specialization, I have to use all 4 skills with Maelstrom to get 3 arts, right? However, if you can get a little bit more specialization, just 3 skills, along with Maelstrom, will get you 3 arts. Specialization is a key stat for Deathblades because just look at the amount of buff you can get. Don't worry about the swiftness because once the remaining energy is turned on, it gives you the movement speed buff and you also have the Maelstrom buff. So that pretty much explains the remaining energy. Now let's talk about the surge build. You just need to switch out 1 skill from here, and that is the Wind Cut for Moonlight Sonic. Then you change the tripods on the Void Strike. Like this. And the changed animation for Void Strike would look like this. So what Surge is basically, you gather stacks for the Identity Surge skill. All this explanation short, you get 150% damage boost on your Surge skill. Let me show you how this works. First, you gather the orbs. Then turn on the identity mode. I think it's called the death trance mode, right? Well, while you're in the death mode for short, you start seeing these stacks. The stacks will build up to 20 and each stack gives you 7.5% damage boost on your surge skill. 7 point times 20 is 150. That's why I said 150% damage boost on the surge skill. However, there is a catch. You can only stack 1 per every 0.4 seconds. Most of these skills and the tripods are designed to give you stacks, and the most important one is the Wind Cut. If I had the skill points, I would put the Wind Cut at 7 for sustain enhancement, but I don't with 264. So I put it at just 1. Now let's see what the Void Strike does with tripods for Surge. That just gave me 8 stacks. You can do this too with this skill. You can also do this. Don't hold it, and the skill effect that's left on the floor will build up the stacks. Also, another thing you have to note is don't use Wind Cut and Void Strike at the same time, because you can only get 1 stack per 0.4 seconds. So the skill cycle would look something like this. Do you see how big the damage on the Surge? Wish I got a crit to show you, but I don't want this build to be nerfed for as long as possible, so... Now, there's more to the Surge Engraving. You get all your arts back. 5% per stack, so if you use the Surge at full 20 stacks, you get 100% of the arts back. So it's just a cycle of stacking. Stacking. Then Surge. Now Surge Blades don't use Supercharge. And Surge Blades do have charging skills, but the whole romance of Surge Blades is on the Surge skill, right? And Surge skill is not a charging skill. And has back attack perks, so yeah. Ambush Master. Oh, Master of Ambush. Now, if you catch me on stream, you're not gonna see me using the Void Strike. I don't use Void Strike because the whole point of Void Strike is for the floor effect that builds up the stacks, right? Well, the boss is not gonna stay in one place. So instead of Void Strike, I use Moonlight Sonic with Sustain Enhancement. And I love Moonlight Sonic's damage, range, and non-positional perk, so I use Moonlight Sonic. And it does give me 3 stacks. She does have lots of other skills like the Death Blade Dance and Pole Star. It builds up a lot of stacks too, but they're very stationary and I can't really put them to good use, so I don't use them. That ends my video on Deathblade. Have fun. Thanks for watching. And if you have any more questions about blades, I do stream about 3 times a week. So catch me on stream and do ask me questions or comment on the section down below, and I'll try to answer you. That ends my video on Deathblade. Have fun. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.